And we're live. Welcome to Waking Warriors, where we talk about life, love, lessons, and learning. Fuck. I say it different every week, but so had a pretty good week. Nothing too crazy, same old shit, pretty much. So, anything you want to add about that?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think. Like what? Yeah. I did some yoga.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that. I think that's gonna replace, and I've told you this multiple times already. It could potentially replace chiropractic for me, and I'm very adamant about going to the chiropractor and stuff because I've got SI joint issues. But ever since I've been doing yoga, which has been like, fuck, I don't know, 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks at this point, because I started doing it right before we left for
Oh yeah, from Michigan.
for Michigan, which was approximately the 16th, so about 3 weeks or so. and and then I've been going to an actual studio for probably 2 weeks. So, and it's really good. So I don't know. I think that everybody should probably try it and at least give it a good God's try, in order to see if it works for you. I'm sure it does. It just depends on your commitment.
Well, and there's just, even outside of just like good for your body, it's just good, like you're centering and like grounding yourself throughout the whole thing because you're like moving and flowing with your breath, which is just going to have benefits that way. But then obviously, yeah, it's good for your body too.
Yeah, I think, again, a lot of people won't get that and I don't even really get that grounding piece a lot yet. So, granted, I've only been doing it for a couple weeks. So I'm sure that comes along with time and stuff.
I think it also depends on the instructor. Like you went with Aaliyah, but she's I think she like does a lot of like reminding of those things where we go now, they just kind of like say the poses and like.
Yeah, they go through the motions more so than anything. You're not getting the full yoga experience, I don't think. I think you're just getting the physical benefits at that point, not necessarily the mental or spiritual. So.
But you can, because even, I mean, I don't have it throughout the whole yoga practice, but there's definitely times where I'm more like conscious of my breath and like, I don't know, that just.
Well, the problem is there's just so many distractions there. You got the fucking music, and then you got her, and then you got, there's just like a lot of stuff going on. Whereas, like, if you just had one specific like, instructor, or even if you knew the shit, it'd be a lot better. But, yeah. I don't have any complaints realistically for what it is, and how the benefits that I'm getting out of it. I'm pretty content, so. Anyways, we are going to be talking about control. Let's just talk about control in general.
Oh geez.
Fuck yeah. What?
You.
Everybody likes control, and if they fucking tell you they don't, they're lying. It's a fact.
Yeah, it's like comforting to be in control. Well, I think when I think about control, I think about it because I think it's, for you and I, it's very different. Like, I think you, and, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but control more, huh?
Oh, I will.
For, like, the power piece.
Yeah, the dark side of me definitely likes the power piece of it, the twisted side of me.
But, like, the control for me, like, I'm a control freak about certain things because it feels safer to be in control of.
And that typically comes from childhood trauma. Everything comes from childhood trauma. So, but I think, of course, realistically, I think control comes from even outside of childhood trauma as well, just for the sake of, like, it's a natural human, instinct to want to control things, whether
it's
it's your wife or your
part.
kids or fucking whatever, so.
Because, like, for me specifically, because I even talked about this to somebody, when we were driving back from Michigan, like, the weather was really crappy the entire time, and it would have been probably not easier, but I would have been probably calmer if I just like looked out the window, just kind of like chilled, whatever. But like the control freak in me felt like I need to look forward because if something was going to happen, I like needed to know and like see it coming. And
I'd rather not see it coming, probably.
I know, well, and that's twisted because then it's like I would, yeah, or like because somebody mentioned something about like, oh, I would have just fell asleep, and I was like, there's no way the control freak in me would have let me sleep. Absolutely no way.
So the reason why we did this, we're originally going to talk about like what you can control, but I think control in general is such an interesting topic because it can relate to everybody's lives. So for me, my struggle with control typically is, and I don't even try to micromanage. I try not to micromanage stuff, even though I usually feel like I need to micromanage. But I really strive not to micromanage. So I think I do a relatively decent job in that, and that's all about control and how people do. Because I don't care like how people get things done as long as they get done when they need to get done and how they need to get done. You know what I mean? And then I have the other side of control. What's that?
You just said you didn't care how things got done, and then included that in your.
Well, okay. I don't care how they get done or how you do something as long as the job gets done properly and in a timely fashion. You want to pause it?
Nope. Now we're back.
And we're already back on the recording thing. But anyways.
You don't do anything with those anyway, so.
So, there's a lot of different thoughts on control and like positionings and thought processes. So, you know, you can think about control at work or controlling your wife or controlling your kids. And, you know, there's also like the control of like, just like in general, like the evil side of control, you know, which I don't really necessarily struggle with. When I think about it, like I'm like, I like it. But obviously I know that that's not good or healthy.
I was gonna say super healthy.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, like I joke around a lot about different shit, but at the end of the day, like I'm very aware of, you know, my own humanness. There's another word that I was thinking. Not morality or I don't fucking know. Doesn't really matter, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. I don't have the word off the top of my head either, but I think I get what you're getting at.
I think you struggle with it more than I do, and that's probably, you can talk about your word if you want.
Oh, yeah. So my word for this year is surrender because, yeah, so learning that I was a control freak, I feel like has, in the span of my lifetime, is relatively newer to me. I guess I never like pinpointed that that's what that was, but like little things, sometimes little things that don't matter, and I think we can get to that too because I spend a lot of energy on stuff that, like cooking. I get very particular about things and I will cook and I don't want you like in the kitchen like eating things. I don't want you like, yeah. And so, but like that's
it doesn't even fucking matter.
Right, that's silly. Like I'm expending energy for something that like it doesn't matter.
Has nothing to do with anything.
And so that's, yeah, one aspect. But what brought that up for me, surrender specifically, was especially when we got Cicely, our new dog, things were just tumultuous. I
don't fucking know.
That's a word.
Treacherous.
Between her and Coda, just like food related, and it stressed me out because whenever they were together and around, and even still like can get a little whatever, but I've definitely surrendered more to it. But I would just be like on high alert whenever they were both in the house, and if she was drinking by the water, I had to make sure that like he wasn't around, and so I was just trying to control everything when it came to them being together, and
it's just fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to have to listen to it because you're all in a fucking mood, and then like I'm like, bro, fuck off. Who cares? And then
me. You know. But either way, Since coming back from Michigan, I feel like I've been much calmer about that. There are certain times when I'll put her, like, in her room, or I'll put Coda outside, but I don't, like I used to with that scenario specifically, but, and I think that's, like, with where we were going to start today with, like, controlling what you can control, like, there are still some things, like, putting her in a room, putting Coda outside, that I do have control over, so, like, I will do that when necessary, but, like...
Healthy, intelligent control, though, particularly. Like, you were going overboard in that span of time.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, natural things, like, okay, you know, like, don't fucking hand that one a piece of meat, you know, next to
and not
the
that
other.
we were doing that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But, like, there were just certain, like, I would walk in the house and she would just have her ears back and, like, feel kind of weird or, like, look weird next to Coda, and then I would instantly, like, why is she doing that? Like, what is she doing? What, like, do you see what she's doing? Like, and I would just start to get all, like, hyped up and whatever because I felt out of control in that moment because I'm like, she looks weird. What is she going to do? I don't know. That makes me nervous. And, yeah, so again, like... so rude. Like the things I can control, like when they eat, like clearly we need to have control in that situation. Like have them they don't eat in the same room. Like that makes sense. That is logical. It keeps everybody safe. But then like they're also dogs. Like I cannot literally control what they do. Like in those moments when she like looks weird or like I just feel like this is a heightened situation. Like
yeah, it's interesting to me that you came out like that and I came out like I did. I don't know if it was a learned behavior that I ended up coming out. Yeah, out of childhood. Jesus fuck. And we're back for the second time.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is interesting, I think, too, especially because in my mind, like that control freak scenario comes from having like a very unpredictable environment. Which I didn't have super unpredictable. Like, there were obviously instances, like, parents are humans, so there were times I know that, like, my younger self was probably, like, thrown out of whack because it felt unpredictable. But as far as, like, constant unpredictability, that wasn't the case. Like, I always knew my parents were I had a roof over my head, food, like...
Yeah, your basic necessities were taken care of. Your basic physical necessities were taken care of.
Oh yeah, but even just like, I always could count on my mom to, like, be at my sporting thing. Like, there was just even outside of just making sure I stayed alive, like, so it is interesting. That's what I'm getting at, is, like, I didn't have a super unpredictable upbringing, and so, in my mind, that's where that comes from, but...
Yeah, whereas I had a way more, well, again, I was always taken care of or whatever, but my childhood was much more unpredictable as far as, like, moment to moment.
And maybe that's because maybe you did have so much unpredictability so that you had that, like, practice, you know? Yeah.
Adaptation.
Whereas, like, when things were unpredictable for me, and still it feels very, like...
Yeah.
Very throws me off because I didn't have a lot of that to build up that.
Yeah, I think, so it seems to be that people tend to focus on, like you, for instance, you were focusing on the dog and what the dog was doing, and, you know, like, obviously, again, there's something to be said to be, you know, aware and to take care of, you know, things in general, but you have to draw the line somewhere, you know, because I was in this, I'm going through the same experience you were, you know, like, I know the fucking dog is a nut job and everything else and all this other shit, but I wasn't really concerned about it. I was aware. Like, I was aware that her fucking behavior is being all weird and stuff like that. And sometimes I just whack her and, like, break her out of that focus or whatever, you know, because you're trying to break the concentration and, you know, be, you know, essentially a buffer. But, like, if they fight, they fight. You know, if she goes after them, the dog's not going to die within fucking 3 seconds, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Coda's not going to attack her. I trust that fully. And then if she attacks him, I'm within, you know, 10 feet of the dogs, and I can break it up, you know, within seconds. So, and Coda's going to get a bite here or there, but it's not the end of the world.
And that's like, because even just thinking, we had a ton, was that this week? Snow? Or last week? That was this week.
Yeah, that was this week.
We had so much snow, so we got 23 inches in 2 days, and why that popped in my head was because I think people worry about the weather a lot, or want to, worry, I guess. And then that's like one of the big, like, that is so out of your control. Like, why are you, or we were just talking last night, football teams winning and losing. Yeah. And like that completely altering the way that people interact with others. Their moods and stuff. Like that is out of your control. Why are you going to even let that influence you to that degree, especially? Yeah.
So the whole point, buddy of mine, there's 3 guys. And we're all talking about politics, me included. And, I'm very detached from it in general. Like, I don't really fucking care that much. Like, I'm aware and I have my thoughts and opinions, but at the end of the day, my thoughts and opinions don't fucking matter. So, we were talking about him and he's like, well, let's talk about something that, we can actually control. And I just pointed out, I was like, damn, I really like that attitude. That makes sense. Which is kind of what sparked this whole discussion podcast this week, because we always try to do something that's relatable within the week, that's fresh, and things that that we experience. So,
and I even have these conversations with my clients because they'll like complain about this person, like their mom, blah blah blah, or my parents this or whatever, and then I always like try to bring it back to like, okay, but what can you control? Because we can't control anybody else. We can't make anybody anything, especially when it comes to like parent and children relationships. Like this teenager is not going to make this parent do anything. Yeah. So I bring that back. Like what can you control? Like I know that that's frustrating and that's valid to be frustrated, but spending time and energy in that place is not going to get you anywhere. You're just swirling in this like suck. So like what can you control? Let's start there. You can control how you respond. You can control what you do.
And that leads into like even like being addicted to those feelings and hormones and stuff like that. But that's a whole different thing.
And I'm not saying it's super easy, but again, just as like somebody objectively, because I'm not in the mess of like, I'm detached from that, like you were saying, like I'm not in that, so it's easy for me to like help pull them back out. Like what can you control though?
Yeah,
like,
it's like being the observer or the observed.
Yeah,
like that.
Objective third party.
Observed. So, at the end of the day, fucking sports and politics are like probably the 2 top, things that individuals get upset about. Like if their team loses or, and religion, that's a fucking good one. Because people get attached or, upset, whatever, about, that ref made a bad call or, my fucking team lost or, that player's injured or, my politician didn't win and, that's a bad policy thing, so on and so forth. There's so much shit to be fucking, it's endless. You can literally fucking come up with anything and everything to be worried about at the end of the day, but what good does it do?
Well, and it's easy to complain about the things you don't have control over than to actually take like action on something that you can control.
Yeah. So like, for instance, you can control to some degree, well, not to some degree, to all degree you control your income, at the end of the day. Like if you want to generate more income, then become more valuable. Learn new skill sets, be willing to change things. Because, like, those are the things that you should really be worrying about, personally. What's going in your head. You can control what goes into your head. Not 24/7. I get that. Because, like, even if you go to the grocery store and they're playing a fucking song talking about killing themselves or something, like, okay, unfortunately, that's going to be in your space and you can't control that, Right. You could leave the store, but at the end of the day, you gotta get shit done. So, you just gotta be aware of that. And if you control fucking 75% of the shit that goes in your head, you're gonna be a lot better off. But you have to like consciously choose that, because otherwise you'll be fucked. If you just intake bullshit TV and bullshit music and toxic people talking about people and everything else, so. I'm hard to. I feel like this one's kind of tough for me because I don't even really feel like I feel like I've conquered this.
No, not true. Even.
Okay, maybe, yeah. I guess you're right. Now I'm thinking on it in different terms. Like, the control.
Maybe the, like, dark side of control.
Maybe, like, the, like, financial things. Like, I probably, like, want to control those things more. You know?
And I think...
But, like, in a life thing, like, not so much.
You're like, I feel like I talk too much and then they go to talk. I think you, and I don't know, maybe this doesn't even fall under this topic, but I also feel like you like to control me at times. Like, if I'm driving, you will tell me where to park.
I'm just helping you.
I'm like, bro, why are you, like, shush, why does it matter if I park there or there? Like, why do you feel the need to, like that's control? I think. But what do you think?
I think I can stand on the possibility, but I don't think...
It's obnoxious as hell.
I think... yeah, but at the end of the day, like, usually... I don't think it's necessarily about the, about having to have you there, or that spot, or whatever, Like, I think I'm just, like, guiding you.
Guiding me? That's like, I'm not asking you for help. You're, like, interjecting your help onto me. Projecting your help that I'm not asking for. I feel like that's control-y.
You just didn't know you needed my help.
That's so dumb.
I'm just trying to assist, bro. I don't think... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I can stand on the possibility. I just don't think that's accurate. I think the biggest control thing for me is, like, anxiety. Like, what causes me the anxiety. Because what causes me the anxiety is basically control, I think. After I said that, I thought about it at a different angle. Because I don't have the same control issues you do. Like, I don't need to control this. I don't need to control other people and all this other stuff.
Just me when I park.
Is that the only example you fucking have?
I don't know. I just remember that one specifically. You do, like, little things that I'm like, why? It doesn't even matter if I grab this brand or that brand, or this parking spot or that parking spot. Like,
sometimes I just already have a thought process in my mind, probably, is my thought. And I already, like...
So you need to control the situation. But...
No, but I also don't, like, try to, like... I don't normally get upset if, like, you don't listen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. That's just me, like, oh, park there, like... I don't know... Because control, when I think of control... There's typically, like, a resistance or a... You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? There's, like, a power thing.
Kinda, yeah.
Struggling. And
I still feel like that could be there, though. Just maybe on a super small scale. Like...
Potentially.
But anyway.
I think that's a minute detail.
Well, I know. That's why I'm trying to bring it back to you and your control and your anxiety.
Yeah, because I definitely have that. I'll say that, for sure.
Is that, like, because you feel like... Because anxiety is looking to the future, and it's, like, the unknown. Because it's not here yet. So do you feel like that's what gives you anxiety, is you don't have control over that thing in the future yet because it's not here? Or it's like an unknown outcome?
Potentially an unknown outcome, or I just want it to be how I want it to be because I already have, like, my next plan moved, So if I get this, then I can do this, but I need this to happen to do this. But theoretically, like, you don't know what the best outcome is at the end of the day. It's just my arrogance, essentially. Thinking that I know the best route. The best outcome or route to happen. So, yeah, I definitely have a control on that side of things. I control... So my biggest problem... Yours is, like... I don't know what the fuck yours is. You could call yours. You know what I mean? Because it's everything. Like it's fucking. It's the dog. It's the fucking car. It's everything. Like
no,
it could be it could be anything. But you can.
It could be anything. It's not everything.
It's not everything, but it literally could be anything.
That's why I was saying no, because it made it sound like I was control freaky about all the things all the time. Like that's not the case.
Shut the fuck up.
No.
So you can't pinpoint. like what's going to trigger you, essentially. But for me, it's always the future. The control of the future always fucking triggers me. Triggers my anxiety and my control issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're my control freaky. It's very generalizable because it could be the dogs, it could be in the kitchen cooking, it could be...
Yeah, yep. Or, like I said, mine's specifically the future. Anything else, I don't give a fuck. Oh, and maybe people in traffic. That's one too. I just want to wring motherfuckers' necks.
I think that one comes from a place of entitlement, though, because you're like, I'm on the road, so everyone else needs to like stay out of my way and.
Well, no, they just need to follow the fucking rules. If you're passing, or if you're not passing, then be in the fucking right lane. That's it. It's that simple, and that's usually my fucking problem. Non-driving motherfuckers. Like, bro, you got a fucking 2 lanes. One is for this and one is for that. Other than that, but that's definitely a control thing for me too. What's that fuck? Someone said something about like, I think it was Ed Milet, talks about like, if you're worried about the traffic, then your problems ain't fucking big enough or some shit like that. So
if the traffic gets you
riled up. Yeah. And it doesn't really even get me that riled up.
I think we may have talked about this, but I think you also just enjoy it sometimes. Like,
oh, I do 100%.
Bitching about drivers.
I enjoy.
So.
Yeah. Like when I'm here and they're there, Fuck. I'm a damn good driver though.
Yeah. I can't say any different. I really can't. I think. Oh yeah, because we did that one week on. Oh, my brain. But anyway. I made a post about your driving. That's where my brain was thinking of Facebook. But then I was remembering that like people that only watch us on YouTube will have missed the 1 week because we did it on Facebook Live. Oh, so this is a plug. If I didn't talk about it, I don't think I talked about it last week. To go follow us on Facebook so that you can catch up on that one, which was interesting because it was.
It was rough thing. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, we were like literally in the car driving and talked about our leaving South Dakota adventure. So.
Yeah.
But.
So, basically, focus on shit that you can control at the end of the day. Like, if you personally control, and things that matter. And I understand, politics matter and everything else. At the end of the fucking day, what's going to happen is going to happen, and you have no control over it. So, they really don't matter.
Well, and I was thinking, because earlier when I said it's easier to sit and complain about things you don't have control, like a policy or blah, 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 than to actually take action, because there are things you can do. You can lobby, you can write letters to people, and that's like something you can control. Whether or not it has a huge impact or influence is another story, but like that is something that you can do if you feel like that would be, versus just sitting and complaining because President so-and-so is whatever. Like.
Yeah. At the end of the day, even, I don't know.
Well, and I think too, like, just sometimes when you think about like, well, what can I control? Like, it might be super small, and run it. Like, if the control that you like.
You control what you put in your mouth. You control what you look at. You control what you listen to. You control all those things for the most part in your household. Like you can control all those things. And so, just like turn more so, rather than looking on the outside of your house and trying to control everything on the outside, and start like turning it inside your house and saying, okay, what can I control? Like I can control when I go to bed. I can control when I fucking brush my teeth. I can control what my kids watch on TV.
Right. Control what books I read. Control what food I eat.
Yep. If everybody starts turning it and looking inside their household and what's going on in there, the world would be a much more reasonable place, you could say, I guess. I don't fucking know what the word is, but.
Yeah, and that's like not to say like everybody needs to be super individualistic, but I think we as humans tend to like look outward and want to like point fingers and blame and whatever, and that's not going to get you anywhere. So if you're working on yourself and working on your relationship with your spouse and working on your relationship with your kids and how you raise your kids, like that is going to have so much far-reaching impact than bitching about your neighbor and how he cuts his lawn. Like,
or if he doesn't.
Yeah. Well, we don't even have have a lawn right now, but
thank God. We won't either.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was a great little like tidbit from the week because I was like, shit, fuck yeah, dude. And I know I've already for the most part embodied this. Except in the areas that I already admitted. But.
Well, it's like a nice reminder, and it's cool to be in circles and conversations where that's being said. It's just like, hell yeah. Like, I already know this, and I embody it, but, like, it's dope to be just gently reminded by somebody who, like, I have a relationship with and building a friendship with, and it's cool to be in circles where conversations like that are happening versus...
Yeah, for sure. And, dude, that's the biggest thing for anybody's sanity, success... future is who you fucking hang around with, because like if you're talking about bullshit all the time and sports and everything else, I'm not saying like these are horrible things, but in moderation, of course.
Right, because we even had sport conversations last night. We were talking about the Chiefs and whatever, but even that was just like interesting because I was learning stuff that he was like talking about and so it's not like that can never happen.
For sure.
Like, we still have those combos too, but...
Yeah, yep. So yeah.
And that's something that, like, the people that you hang out with, you can control. Obviously, if you go to a job, like, you're going to be around people that you don't necessarily have the say in who your coworker is, but you do have a say in where you end up working and how much time and energy you give to that coworker when all they do is complain. Like, you can set boundaries, you can control that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Control what you can control and fuck the rest. So, and like, I think the way you'll know if you can control it is if you get upset about it. Is that fair?
So what are you saying? If you get upset, you don't have the control?
Yeah.
Of the thing?
Yeah. Yep. I guess you can still give up your control to somebody else.
Right. Ooh, that's interesting. We didn't really talk about that, but...
You can fucking hit it.
I think more in my head, I like power, because you can like give, up your power, give up your control to somebody else, and then they're like the little puppet.
It's like what triggers are: gaslighting, manipulation. I always love the thought process on this, particularly just because I'm a twisted motherfucker. But like, if you can get somebody upset, you own them. I fucking own you. If I can get you in a mood because of something I say, if all I do to do at the end of the day is figure out what you're attached to and fucking
start looking like that.
Start pulling those fucking strings. Oh fuck, you're mine. I fucking own you. And
well, that's what like even people who like look to blame and this person made me blah blah blah. Like you just gave them your power. Like you literally are like. Letting them.
Yeah. So keep the control where you're able to have the control too. Like don't just give up your fucking control at the end of the day to anybody. Like obviously, because there are some people, your spouse, you can give up control to certain things, right? You're surrendering, essentially. Like, there's a reason that somebody might give up control because they might have. For instance, if you can't get something done particularly, and so then you hand it off to the next individual to complete the task, you're giving up the control because they can do it better. Like the drywall thing, like.
Which is interesting to think about because that's like delegating, which is still control to a degree.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the intention.
Right. It's still like an intentional choice, but it's not.
Yeah. It's control to give up your control. To surrender your control. Control your control. So yeah. What's another good example of like, for instance, like, I can't think of anything that I give you control over. What do you give me control over? Finances, technically, yeah. I have, and I'm not saying this in an egotistical way, but I have basically end all, say all of like probably 90% of the shit I feel like. And even that is, you know, I don't mind it because that's just like, that's my, you know, that's my personality, you know, because I'm a good decision maker.
Yeah, and I think there's like a downside to that is that then I have a difficult time making decisions.
For sure, yeah.
Like it's kind of codependent where like I just won't make an official choice until I hear you have made the official choice. I'm like, okay, now I can, like the vet thing. Like getting our dog fixed, like I asked the vet how much it was. You were like, ask the vet how much it's going to be. So I did. I literally did just that. I asked, I told, and that was kind of like the end of the conversation. And then it was brought up again recently. And you're like, well, I thought you were going to like make an appointment, like get this done. And I was like, no, you told me to ask about it. So, you know, like I didn't necessarily take the initiative because I'm just so used to you having.
And that might have been my fault for the lack of communication, you know.
Wow! That didn't come up at all in the actual combo. Because, yeah, I mean, that was where it ended. It wasn't like any more conversation. But still, again, like I could have, you know, been like, hey, this is how much it is. Like, I'm going to call and make an appointment. Like, let's, whatever. But, yeah, that is how it rolls most of the time.
Yeah. Only give your control, the control that you have and to people that you trust, essentially.
And I was going to say that, too. Like, it's not like willy-nilly, like we are like a decade into this relationship where I'm trusting you with all of these things. Like it's not like,
yeah, I've proven myself over time, essentially,
right.
You know. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a fucking disease right now in, you know, society, is wanting to control every little thing. You know, fucking gas prices and, you know, fucking, like, you can't control the gas prices, but you can control your income, so stop fucking bitching about the gas prices. Fuck them. You know, they are what they are at the end of the day. I might bring them up here and there or whatever else, you know, because we all do. We're all human. But I'm not, like, you know, fucking bitching and crying about this or that or whatever else. I'm just like, what the fuck? And then I'm just like, all right, whatever. And then I just move on my merry way. So, yeah.
Well, we talked about this before, too, but, like, we have a whole energy episode, but like when you're just giving all your energy to stuff like that like doesn't matter, like you're not,
it's fucking exhausting.
It reminds me of like the post that you did recently about like clearing space in your head. Like it allows you to have more creation and more, like if you're spending all your time and your energy to just bitch and gas prices and this president and that person and my neighbor and like you literally have no creative energy, your life is going to be dull because that's where you focus on is outside of your control stuff.
Yeah. And so, you know, like evaluate your life at the end of the day. You know, if you just want to sit down and write out a list of things that I can control, you know, like your body, and I won't say this for everybody, but the majority of the fucking people in the world or whatever, I guess I should just stick to the US because whatever, you can control your own body for the most part, right? Unless you're a fucking kid or, you know, a woman or potentially a man, but a lot less likely to be in some sort of like domestic fucking bullshit thing going on. You can control your body. You can control what you put in your mouth. You can control what you put in your head. You can control who you are around for the most part, you know. At least outside of work you can. And so focus on all that shit, and then the rest will just fall into place. Because it's just not worth your time, your energy, and fuck them too, because it's all bullshit anyways. It's all a big stage in my personal opinion. You know, they want you to be riled up, and they want you to be upset, and don't give them that fucking power at the end of the day, you know. They're basically like a fucking me on steroids, you know, with a lot more sway or control, whatever. Because now they're just manipulating people in a grander scale, you know. So the people, because
you're talking like media and politicians.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, like you're giving up your control. Fuck that. Like fuck them. I don't care. Doesn't matter. You know, if they lose their control, what do they have? you know. So, and unfortunately, they'll fuck us with energy because they control that and they control the currency and they control, you know, they control literally everything. But at least don't let them control, because you can't control the fact that they even control the money supply and the fucking energy and everything. But you can control whether they control your emotions, you know. So that's the biggest fucking part, because your emotions are
energy in motion.
Yeah. Who was just saying that? I just fucking listened to that. Is that Richard Bradshaw? No, John Bradshaw?
Yes,
Fuck.
Oh yeah, I think he does say that.
Yeah, it was John Bradshaw.
Boom. I was gonna say, it's me. You're listening to me. I did have that written up on that. Remember at one point in time I had some like quotes on the door?
Yeah.
I had that on there way back when.
Alright, well, let's wrap this bitch up.
Okay. Like us on Facebook.
Instagram.
Follow us on Instagram.
Whatever.
You're on YouTube now, so subscribe.
Yeah, feel free to add us as a friend, comment, like, share.
Yeah, give us your thoughts.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next time.